Friends, welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's not difficult for you, but it's nice for me, and we're starting. I have a small envelope in the top line of my browser. If it is pure white, then there is no mail. But if it flashes yellow, it means one thing. An email has arrived. Perhaps I'm speaking a little old-fashioned, but I'm used to calling all this in my native Russian language. I can't stomach when they call mail, or email. So why not say it in Russian? Email. Well, okay. Today, I'm not talking about this in the wrong section to publish my idle appeals like, let's save our native speech from foreigners. So, let's get back to the letter. When I opened my mailbox, I found several very voluminous emails there at once. There is some nonsense in the return address line that I did not consider necessary to publish. Well, the man wanted to keep his secret, so let it be. I admit, I was very interested in the letter I received. Lately, I haven't had any inspiration at all, and then an almost finished work practically fell on me. Its author wished to remain incognito, so I am publishing it with a clear conscience. Moreover, this story basically does not differ from my own in any way. It is the same amateurish writing as the work it is about. I just copied the text of the letters, put them together a little, well, like a little, edited it in Word, and decided to publish it anyway. And so, I present to my readers the text of the letter I received by email, which I have processed. This treatment consisted in the fact that all obscene expressions were removed, of which there were countless, and yes, the dialogues of the actors were more or less designed. The text of the letter. Hello, the author. Not so long ago, I read one of your stories on the internet. I think it's called The Poster. It's strange, but what happened to you, or to the one on whose behalf you wrote a few years ago, happened to me. If I hadn't encountered the phenomenon you described in my life, I probably wouldn't have been able to believe in this fairy tale either. But what is described there is very similar to my own story. That's what happened to me then, and I want to tell you in the hope that this story of mine will someday be included in an essay called The Reluctant Harlot. Of course, what you wrote there is pure fantasy, but what I am writing to you is the pure truth and not fiction even once, because it actually took place, and that's why I'm sending this story to you. You are the only one who can adequately treat this story more like a love fantasy or a dream. Perhaps I would have published it myself, however. I have neither the opportunity, nor the time, nor the desire to do all this. Do with the text as you please, but please subscribe at the bottom. Ivan Ivanov. This was the end of the explanatory note that began the story, and the story itself was followed by the first person. I found it when we were sorting things out in the closet of my neighbor, Talik, a man in his mid-30s. He had been drinking for a week before that and called me to help him clean up the pantry and see what else he could sell. Ivan, maybe you need something. Look at what you'll choose, eh? Well, I really need a lot of money, and Verka is an infection. He doesn't want to let go of debt anymore. Talik eloquently scratched his throat. Well, I don't know what to take from you here. I looked around the cluttered little room. Well, if you want to take a hammer, it's very cheap to get a new one. I'll pay for the bubble. Am Ivan? Tolian looked at me pleadingly. I really felt very sorry for him as a human being. My heart bled looking at his suffering, but Tolian already owed me a lot, and I didn't want to give him the money knowing in advance that there would be no return. I don't need your hammer. I waved away the would-be entrepreneur. Well, if you don't want a hammer, take the roll up. He handed me the key for rolling up the cans. Not much, I have two already, but there's no one to throw them at me. And then this bundle caught my eye. There was a rolled-up paper drawing on a shelf filled with paint cans in the corner. Well, it seemed to me that it was Watman because it was turned inside out, and I needed Watman then. I've forgotten why, but I really needed him. You'd better sell me that paper over there. I pointed at the rolled-up paper. Watman? Talik was surprised and immediately grabbed the bundle. So this Vanya is not a Watman, he said with obvious regret. Yes, it's not Watman that I can't see or something. It's not a Watman, it's a poster. A poster? I asked, holding out my hand for the bundle. Talik unfolded the picture. The poster depicted a beautiful brown-haired woman, seemingly kneeling in the water. I recognized Anfisa Chekhov immediately. Well, I like her. That's just really. Her hips were wrapped diagonally in what looked like a transparent shawl, and her large curves barely fit into her lacy black underwear. She was very beautiful and attractive. She seemed to have beautiful hips, a waist, and everything was shorter. It was something to look at. I love her, honestly. I could tell her to her face. I would say, I love you. Anfisa, I love you very much. Well, how much do you want for it? I asked the drooping Talik. For him? The sufferer started up. Well, yes. I replied and rolled up the poster into the tube. Well, give me as much as you want. The main thing is that I stole it from a bourgeois myself. Well, privatized it in short when I was digging up a garden in his country. I went into the shed to get a shovel, and there it's attached to the wall. The girl is too painfully beautiful. She somehow immediately fell on my heart. So I slipped up, Talik said, his eyes shining with hope or something else. And for some reason he sobbed. Oh, Talik. I sighed and reached into my pocket. I didn't have a lot of money in my pocket, 300 or 400 rubles, and so I gave a little of it without regret when I took the poster. Why are you attracted to a girl or something? Tolian asked with a wink. Well, let me have a painted one now, I replied, sighing and smiling wryly, and added, since the living are running away from me. I really haven't had any luck with girls for the last year, as Natasha left for a football player in the spring. Since then, I haven't had a permanent girlfriend. My recent passion, Zena, got knocked up and hurriedly married some huckster from the local market. Talik grinned strangely and averted his eyes. Well, with this picture, you won't need any of our soap. Talik somehow slyly winked, but the money clenched in his fist was already clearly burning his palm. However, apparently for the sake of decency, Talik still asked, did Zinka really kick you? Talik said sympathetically, but I realized that he was no longer interested in me. Okay, I'll go. Seeing his desire to leave the apartment as soon as possible, I took the opportunity to leave too. Well, okay, Ivan, but don't you want to come with me? He slapped his throat again. I have to go somewhere else. I declined the neighbor's hospitable offer. In fact, I didn't have to drop by anywhere. I was just wary of drinking what Talik usually drank, and then I didn't really want to listen to his drunken speeches for life. I returned home with the poster under my arm and immediately fixed it in my bedroom opposite the bunk. Then, after watching the football match between CSKA and Lokomotiv, I fell asleep. It happened late at night or maybe early in the morning. As it is more convenient for anyone to understand in short, I am sleeping. Then I feel like someone is sitting next to me on a cot. I dream I even wanted to pinch myself with my hand, but just like that, my hand came across something soft, warm, and pleasant to the touch. And I honestly liked what she came across. The fact is that lately I've been having a lot of dreams about love, and I was dreaming about a blue-eyed blonde in a revealing bikini, and so, I thought that I had grabbed my blonde by the thigh in a dream. I squeezed it a little bit, however. It felt good. I'll tell you. Just like the real thing, well, I broke up. I think it's a dream. Why don't I feel it? And let's knead with our hands what fell into my hands. And the excitement has already played out. I squeezed her thigh harder, and she took it and screamed. And most importantly, it's real and right next to your ear. I got a little scared and opened my eyes, but the blonde hadn't disappeared. Yeah, but she turned brown-haired and looked very much like our Anfisa Chekhov. Yeah, I'm still sleeping, I thought, and I decided to check. I pulled the mounted Anfisa to me and, without saying a word, bit into her lips. We kissed passionately. However, the girl's lips were very good. I'll tell you, less than 3 minutes later, I was already fully prepared for a night of adventures. I didn't even notice how Anfisa, who was already wearing only underwear, turned out to be completely naked and where her scarf and underwear flew off. And I must admit to you that her body was simply super. Smooth, tanned, gorgeous, in short. I've never seen anything like this before. None of my girlfriends. And even Nadia from the fourth one, well, the one with the trucker husband. Well, that's understandable. I thought I was dreaming about her. But in my dreams, I won't dream about Kikimora. Kids mostly dream about them. And I'm not a boy anymore. Like, I'm already 21. Anfisa wrapped her legs around me and moved in sync with me with no less passion, I would say. And then she turned me over on my back. Well, she straddled me shorter. Her girl felt hot and tight, and the lube in her was already squelching. At this rate, As they say in the programs about medicine, we had intercourse for 5 minutes. To be honest, I wouldn't have had enough time for longer. Anfisa was too hot, and I hadn't had anything for about a month. As my neighbor Talik put it, I was blown away by Zinka, and I haven't had time to get a new trouble yet. It is understandable that he was young then, stupid, so I discharged myself at a fast pace. Then, however, we repeated it 2 more times. It turned out to be longer, but the sensations were no longer the same. And having finished this difficult and decisive battle, I turned my back to the wall as it should be and fell asleep without a hind legs. And when I woke up in the morning, I jumped off to check everything. The poster was hanging in the same place where I had attached it. Only the badly rumpled bed with suspicious stains indicated that something had happened that night. And yet, I remembered that when we were floundering, I got my foot into the hole. I don't know what this hole is called, of the duvet cover, and in a fit of passion I tore it almost in half. That poster hung in my bedroom for another 6 months, but I didn't dream about anything like that anymore. And then I unexpectedly married Tanya from the next yard. And then my Tanya forced me to take down this cinematography for fuck's sake. I took it off and in order not to throw it away just like that. It's a pity, it's very beautiful in the memories. I gave it to the neighbor's boy Coca. He doesn't have a young girlfriend, so he'll benefit from such dreams, and I don't know what happened to her next. Coca and his parents moved somewhere. Of course, I could have dreamed all this back then. However, accidentally reading the story, The Reluctant Harlot, made me remember this long ago story. And the description of the night guest matches almost exactly.